Happy Sunday, everybody. It's the day that we read fairy tales. But, I had a thought, and we are going to read fairy tales. But yesterday's video was, where have all the good men gone, right? Because I just, out of my own brain, from back in the day, I remember that being said. I remember even adults saying that kind of thing when I was younger. And I thought, I wonder if they're still saying it. So I searched on TikTok. And sure enough, we found out yesterday they are. And today, it being Sunday, I thought, I wonder if we have any princesses. You know, the whole princess treatment. I want him to treat me like a princess. I remember that from somewhere in my propagandized brain. So I searched it on TikTok. And I wish I was wrong. Did I welcome everybody back? Welcome to Far From Eden. My producer slash boss slash manager, little Lola, my little dog, is sleeping. So clearly I don't know what to do. So unless she tells me what to do, I don't know what to do. So, but I am going to show you these modern day princesses, or so they would tell you. Good gracious. Here we go.
If you are a young woman and you feel unappreciated by men, then listen up. A man will treat you how he sees you, but that is just a mere reflection of how you see yourself. Therefore, if he doesn't treat you right, he basically copy-pastes the attitude you have towards yourself. Even if you don't believe me now, in your subconscious, you don't believe you deserve to be treated well. The good news is,
this is the type. This is what women tell each other. And this is even the type of thing women hear in therapy. So that should explain some things a little bit more to you guys. It's all about your own, it's all about self-love. It just tells the woman, you just clearly don't love yourself enough. You don't value yourself enough. Is that the problem we see right now with the lady folk? No, it's not. But she's gonna, and she's obviously older, she's gonna teach the younger women how to make him treat you like a princess. It's all about manipulating men into doing what they want. That's all they're saying, basically. Here's how you manipulate him into giving you what you want.
is that a man can learn how to treat his woman just by watching how she treats herself. Therefore, if you want to be treated like a princess, you better start believing in yourself and treat yourself like one. If you are a young woman and you feel unappreciated by men, then listen up. A man will treat you how he sees you.
I can't make him shut up.
It's just a mere reflection of how you see yourself.
Literally press pause like 50,000 times, and well, maybe not literally 50,000 times. They want to keep it on a loop. So that's one woman telling other women how to, make him treat you like a princess. Well, what do the younger women say? What do these younger ones that would be wife material would be? Nobody get excited. I'm not saying are. Nope.
There's a girl whose video is getting stitched around the internet right now. She's saying something to the effect of, if you want princess treatment, you don't say you're a princess. You just act shocked and offended or like confused when they do something that's not princess treatment like. I have done this inadvertently. And I will say this, by the time that I'm acting shocked, confused, or offended, it's so genuine that like I either never talk to that guy again or the breakup happens that night. And if I decide to even see him after the breakup, it's like rinse, wash, repeat, because like he eventually does something again where like it triggers that same shock, confusion, and it gets worse each time. Like I'm so jarred by the fact that I'm not being treated like a princess. And
She doesn't even see it. You're a snot. You're a little snobby McSnobberson. And it ends up, the breakup happens that night. Do you see the callousness? She's smiling when she says that. This is not a princess make. Okay. And here's another thing that is the elephant in the room. What makes them think that they deserve to be treated like a princess? Disney and the princess, the whole princess idea, right? We are in America. This is not, well, most of us are. This is not, and even if you're living somewhere in England, for example, where there is a monarchy, we don't really recognize it like back in the day. We don't look up to princesses and stuff like that the way we used to. It's more celebrities, right? And the idea of a Disney princess. So that's where they're getting this mentality that it's not that they deserve it, it's that they want it. And they are under this impression that because they want it, they should have it, and that they will get it.
So traumatizing for everybody involved. It's hard to see them again normally. There's a girl whose video is getting
She was already done. Yeah, okay. They don't see that they're on here just admitting that they're snobs and difficult to please, and this is going to end them up alone. Completely alone. So, those are some princesses. They are out there. Just kidding. Yeah, they're out there demanding a certain type of treatment. And really, all they act like they want, what they think the princess treatment is having things bought, like getting presents, having things, sometimes it's presents, sometimes it's a shopping spree, sometimes it's bills being paid. But at the same time, like this whole princess, silly, silly girls. A wife, a real wife, is so much higher than a princess, but none of their indoctrination taught them that. So now, full disclosure, you guys, I told you the tales we were going to read last week, and there's been a slight change because I attempted this video once already, and I read how some children play at slaughtering. Well, I've decided I'm not going to read that one on YouTube. It's not worth it. It's quite violent from child to child. And there are no witches or princesses or anything of the sort. There's probably some lesson to be learned. However, I don't think for our purposes there necessarily is with that one. And there was a part 1 and a part 2 of that short tale, both equally as gruesome and violent from child to child. So I'm just not going to go there. Not going to go there. It was quite unsettling. So we're going to pick it up with the little mouse, the little bird, and the sausage. Okay, so hopefully I don't have to stop the video and start again. But you never know with Grimm Brothers. They don't mess around. Once upon a time, a little mouse, a little bird, and a sausage came together and set up house. For a long time, they lived together in peace and happiness, and they managed to increase their possessions by a considerable amount. The little bird's job was to fly into the forest every day and bring back wood. The mouse had to carry water, light the fire, and set the table while the sausage did the cooking. Okay. Teamwork. Now, if things go too well for people, they always look for new things. Okay. So one day, as the bird was flying about, he came upon another bird, and he boasted and told him about his superb situation. But the other bird called him a poor sap because he had to do most of the work, while the other two friends had easy lives. The other bird was a communist. For instance, after the mouse started the fire and carried the water into the house, she generally went to her little room and rested until she was called to set the table. The sausage stayed by the pot and kept an eye on the cooking. And right at mealtime, he slid through the stew. What? He slid through the stew or vegetables to make sure everything was salted, seasoned, and ready to eat. As soon as the little bird came home and laid down his bundle, they would sit down at the table, and after finishing the meal, they would sleep soundly until the next morning. Such was their glorious life. However, the little bird had been disturbed by what the other bird had said the previous day, and told his companions that he had been their slave long enough and was no longer going to be taken for a fool. He wanted them to change and try another arrangement. No matter how long the mouse and the sausage vehemently argued against this, the bird dominated and insisted that they try a new way. So they drew lots, and it fell upon the sausage to get the wood. The mouse became cook, and the bird was to fetch water. What happened? After the sausage went to fetch the wood, the bird started the fire, and the mouse put the kettle on the stove. Then they waited for the sausage to return home with the wood for the next day. However, the sausage was gone for such a long time that the other two had an uneasy feeling, and the bird flew out a little way to meet him. Not far from their home, the sausage had encountered a dog. Uh-oh. Now this dog had considered the sausage free game and had grabbed him and swallowed him down. The little bird arrived and accused the dog of highway robbery, but it was of no use, for the dog maintained he had found forged letters on the sausage. He had found forged letters on the sausage, and therefore the sausage had to pay for this with his life. Oh, like the sausage had committed a crime. Okay, got it. Now the little bird sadly picked up the wood and carried it back home. He told the mouse what he had seen and heard, and they were very distressed. Nevertheless, they agreed to do the best they could and stay together. Meanwhile, the little bird set the table, and the mouse prepared the meal. She intended to put the finishing touches on it by seasoning it and sliding through the vegetables the way the sausage used to do. But before she even reached the middle of the vegetables, she got stuck and had to pay for it with her life. When the bird came to serve the meal, there was no cook. He became so upset that he scattered wood all over the place, calling and searching for the mouse. But his cook was no longer to be found. Since the little bird was so distracted, he didn't notice that the wood had caught fire and the house went up in flames. The bird rushed out to fetch some water, but the bucket slipped and fell into the well, dragging the bird along. Since he couldn't manage to get himself out, he was left to drown. So, they were a sort of a family, and they all had their roles. And with those roles came their responsibilities and their duties. And when one of them got talking to someone outside of the family, who didn't value the family, didn't understand the inner workings, and just got the bird to compare things and be seeing himself as a victim. He decided he wasn't happy. So he went home and he was like, no, I want it to be different. And the other two, they complied. Maybe they loved the bird. And what happened when everybody changed roles because the bird thought that they just had it so difficult, even though clearly the roles made sense for their different skills, abilities, aptitudes. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's almost like if you've got a bird, a mouse, and a sausage, and they've all got roles that they can do, and they're thriving. They were doing so well. It was working. But one of them discovered they weren't happy. There was a time. Or they tell us there was a time. I don't know. But they say there was a time when, women, it wasn't good for women to read. And I think that it was good for them to read. But I think that they were more careful with, say, what the wives were reading. And probably the wives were more guarded with themselves too. You don't want to start reading about the occult. You don't want to read things that are terrible and awful and will scar you and harden you. But you also don't want to read things that cause you to see yourself as a victim, compare yourself to others. Get people from outside your family, getting those voices in that poison it can be very detrimental. And I think that's something that we used to know, because clearly the problem was talking to this outside bird. And so it's kind of like looking at Facebook. I'm old. Instagram, TikTok, whatever, comparing your life to your peers or even celebrities. It's been very detrimental for women. It has not made us happier. It has not been good for our families. And even the idea, I would go so far to say, even the idea that, oh, I just would never be happy just at home with just my kids all day. There's something more. Well, but if you've never considered being a wife and a mother as oppressive and that there's supposedly something better, then the family's protected. It's just certain things we just shouldn't even consider because it's not good for us. It's not good for our families. It's therefore not good for society. And I would go so far as to say, too, that, that bird, who was even that bird? Just some stranger. But yet this other bird trusted him and said, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm a slave. Just like Eve in the garden, trusting this snake, serpent, whatever he was, trusting him. You don't even know him. And he's telling you all this garbage about, God doesn't want you to eat this fruit because he wants to hold you back. He doesn't want you to know and be powerful like him. Don't talk to other birds or serpents or whatever. If they do talk to you, don't go with what they say and, upend everything. It doesn't go well, either with the garden or with these three characters. That is sound advice. Sound advice. Excellent to read to a child. Our next tale is Mother Holle, spelled Holle. So I'm pronouncing it Holly. I don't know. I don't speak German, so that's what we're going with. Unless it becomes obvious that I'm wrong here in a minute, which could happen. Oh boy. A widow had 2 daughters, one who was beautiful and diligent, the other ugly and lazy. Right away, do you notice how ugliness is paired with lack of good character and beauty is paired with good character? Always in these tales. There's not been one time where there's been a beautiful woman who's had character that was lacking. Always goes hand in hand, which means they used to find good character beautiful. And I would say that most men still do. It's just that most women don't get it, as we saw in yesterday's video. But she was fonder of the ugly and lazy one, and the other had to do all the work and was just like the Cinderella in the house. Now, one day, the beautiful maiden went out to fetch water, and as she bent over to pull the bucket from the well, she leaned over too much and fell into the water. And when she awoke and came to her senses, she was lying on the ground in a beautiful meadow where the sun was shining and thousands of flowers were growing. She left the meadow, and soon she came to a baker's oven full of bread. But the bread was yelling, "Oh, take me out, or else I'll burn. I've already been baked long enough." What's going on? It's Grimm fairy tales, so it's like we're having a trip right here. So she went to the oven and diligently took out everything. After that, she moved on and came to a tree full of apples. "Oh, shake me, the tree exclaimed. "My apples are all ripe." So she shook the tree until the apples fell like raindrops, and she kept shaking until they had all fallen to the ground. After that, she moved on. At last, she came to a small cottage where an old woman was looking out of a window. She had such big teeth that the maiden was scared and wanted to run away. But the old woman cried after her, "Don't be afraid, my dear child. Stay with me, and if you do all the housework properly, everything will turn out well for you. You must only make my bed nicely and give it a good shaking so the feathers fly. Then it will snow on earth, for I am Mother Holly." Then it will snow on earth, for I am Mother Holly. Watch, one of you is going to say, "Actually, that's Mother Earth." I don't know. Since the old woman had spoken so kindly to her, the maiden agreed to enter her service. She took care of everything to the old woman's satisfaction and always shook the bed so hard that the feathers flew about like snowflakes. In return, the woman treated her well. She never said an unkind word to the maiden, and she gave her roasted or boiled meat every day. After the maiden had spent a long time with Mother Holly, her heart saddened. Even though everything was 1,000 times better there than at home, she still had a yearning to return. At last she said to Mother Holly, "I've got a tremendous longing to return home, and even though everything is wonderful here, I can't stay any longer." "You're right," Mother Holly responded, "and since you've served me so faithfully, I myself shall bring you up there again." She took the maiden by the hand and led her to a large gate. When it was opened and the maiden was standing beneath the gateway, an enormous shower of gold came pouring down, and all the gold stuck to her so that she became completely covered with it. I want you to have this because you've been so diligent, said Mother Holly. Thereupon the gate closed, and the maiden found herself up on earth. Then she went to her mother, and since she was covered with so much gold, her mother gave her a warm welcome. Then, when her mother heard how she had obtained so much wealth, she wanted her other ugly and lazy daughter to have the same good fortune. Therefore, this daughter also had to jump down the well. Like her sister, she awoke in the beautiful meadow and walked along the same path. When she came to the oven, the bread cried out again, "Oh, take me out, or else I'll burn. I've already been baked long enough." But the lazy maiden answered, "Do you think I want to get myself dirty?" She moved on, and soon she came to the apple tree that cried out, "Oh, shake me, my apples are all ripe." However, the lazy maiden replied, "Are you serious? One of the apples could fall and hit me on the head." Well, this lovely maiden didn't see the TikToks that we saw earlier that said you have to treat yourself a certain way, then you'll be treated like a princess. Not about being diligent and a hard worker and good. Interesting. Totally different message. TikTok versus Grimm Brothers fairy tales. Weird that this one is right. Wow. Okay. When she came to Mother Holly's cottage, she wasn't afraid because she had already heard about the old woman's big teeth, and she hired herself out to her right away. On the first day, she made an effort to work hard and obey Mother Holly. When the old woman told her what to do, for the thought of the gold was on her mind. On the second day, she started loafing, and on the third day, she loafed even more. Indeed, she didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And she did a poor job of making Frau Holly's bed. She certainly didn't shake it hard enough to make the feathers fly. Soon, Mother Holly became tired of this and discharged the maiden from her service. The lazy maiden was quite happy to go and now expected the shower of gold. Well, of course she expects that. Mother Holly led her to the gate, but as the maiden was standing beneath the gateway, a big kettle of pitch came pouring down over her instead of gold. Oh, we don't know what pitch is, heaven's sakes. That's a reward for your services, Mother Holly said, and closed the gate. The lazy maiden went home covered with pitch, and it stuck to her for as long as she lived. Well, I don't know what pitch is right now because I always read these stories completely cold. I'm sure the people in the chat will know or have already looked it up. I'm going to look it up right after this. But clearly, she was not rewarded. She wasn't rewarded. Well, she totally expected to be rewarded, though, didn't she? She reminds me of this one. Hold on, I have another princess that it reminds me of. But I wasn't totally gonna, like, they just expect it. They expect it. They expect it, and they don't get it. Hold on. There we go. I wasn't expecting to show you another one of these, but
We have
We
all
have to.
been lied to. Men and women have been lied to. It's so easy for us to compare ourselves with other couples online, compare ourselves with other women who get princess treatment, bragging about their men paying for their nails, hair, shopping sprees. I am going to be brutally honest with you. That is not princess treatment. Princess treatment is how he can support you and emotionally validate. He's patient with you. He won't let you go to bed upset. Feel safe and vulnerable with him. And he doesn't raise his voice towards you. You can bring up any concern.
Do you hear these expectations? You're not supposed to raise your voice to her. You're not supposed to do any of this. You're supposed to validate everything she says. This is the princess treatment. She's so much better than all those other princesses. She understands what it really is, which clearly she does not. And the fact that she thinks that this is something that women should be able to expect, no other person can validate everything about you and never raise their voice to you. These women expect perfection. Have we heard anything about what she's doing? Not really. No. Certainly nothing about being diligent.
Concerns that you have without him getting upset, because he can handle it. He can handle anything that you throw at him emotionally. He'll handle it with logic and reason, empathy, and patience. He tries to understand you. Princess treatment is how he talks to you, how he touches you. I'm not afraid to admit that I like when I get spoiled with gifts. Makes most women happy and elated, but I still don't consider that princess treatment. I think we all need to stop letting social media convince us that princess treatment is in lavish gifts or things that you buy, because
But also, lady, you need to stop looking at social media to convince you that you deserve it. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, she thinks she's so much better. And she still hasn't said anything about what she's going to contribute or what she's going to be. Just that he should do everything and take everything and be fine with it, no matter what.
princess treatment, true princess treatment, cannot be bought. We have all been lied to.
Yes, and you're lying to them right now. Oh boy, they're just lovely. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that I was going to show you that one because it just didn't seem necessary. But then both of the tales reminded me of that chick because she's talking about comparing on social media when she's doing that exact thing. Like she's talking to that other bird while saying we shouldn't be talking to the other bird. Like, okay. Oh gosh, you guys. Well, literary archaeology never disappoints. It did horrify me with the first tale that I tried to do, that I did not read on a video for you guys. But the other two, solid lessons. Solid lessons. And if we had taught our little girls these things, man, families would look different, society would look different, government would never have been able to destroy men in family courts enabled by the woman because she would never want to blow up her family in the first place. So, by the way, little Miss Lola is up and walking around now, probably waiting to boss me. It's probably going to be for her treats, her afternoon treats. Yep. So that reminds me to ask you guys to please like the video, share it with your favorite feminist, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And by the way, you guys, thank you so much for subscribing and liking the videos. I really appreciate it. I never expected to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, let alone, what are we at? Like we're over 32,000 now. Like I can't even fathom that. It's still like it's not real. And I'm just like, I just am humbled by it. And I thank you. And I hope that the message is getting out and that it's being said by a woman, because it needs to. Only women can hold women accountable. They don't let you guys do anything nowadays. So we women need to be able to hold the women accountable and educate women that this is what's going on, that this is the state of things. Because a lot of women don't seem to know how bad it is. I know. Take that with a grain of salt. But I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Please feed your souls. Protect your peace. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.